I was a kid, my family lived in a large house. It had a side room at the back of the first floor, which my siblings called the second living room, because that's basically what it was. It had an old recliner, a small table, and a mid-sized couch, nothing fancy. We rarely used it. One morning, I woke up feeling sick. I told my mom, and she let me stay home from school. My siblings went to school and my parents went to work, leaving me home alone. I stayed in bed for a few hours until around 10:30 a.m. when I heard steady footsteps coming from the first floor. At first, I thought nothing of it, assuming my mom might have gone in late to work, as she sometimes did. Feeling hungry, I decided to head to the kitchen. As I reached the doorway, I froze. Standing there wasn't my mom, but a 6-foot-tall man in tattered, ripped clothes. He stared at me with no expression. I was paralyzed. It lasted only a few seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Suddenly snapping out of it, I bolted back to my room, locked the door, and shoved a dresser in front of it. I grabbed my phone. Instead of calling 911 as I should have, I called my mom, screaming that someone was in the house trying to kill me. She told me to lock my door and call the police. 15 minutes later, I saw the police arrive through my bedroom window. They searched the house, but found no one. No signs of forced entry, no broken windows, nothing. My parents returned home furious that no intruder was found. As the officers were wrapping up, one noticed a Walmart bag sticking out from under the couch in the rarely used side room. Investigating further, they found piles of trash bags, rotting food, and some of our belongings, things like wipes, water bottles, and even a bag of urine. The man in the kitchen had been living under that couch for weeks. It baffled me that no one in the house had smelled the garbage or noticed anything. We've since turned that room into a breakfast nook with wooden chairs, no more couches for people to hide in. Though this happened over a decade ago, it still haunts me. I'm heading to college soon and won't have to live in this house anymore. But I can't shake the memory. Every time I wake up feeling off, I'm reminded of that terrifying day. Here's another story. When I was in high school, I stayed home alone one weekend while my parents attended a wedding out of town and my brother worked the night shift. We lived in a blue-collar neighborhood on the East Coast that was starting to go downhill. As a teenager, I valued my alone time. I planned to play PlayStation on the big screen, order takeout, watch some Dragon Ball Z, and crash on the couch with my old beagle, Cecil. He was a peaceful dog who never barked and preferred to rest his head on your lap. It was around 1 a.m., and I had just finished my pizza. I was dozing off on the couch when I heard a bang coming from the back alley. City noises at night weren't unusual, so I ignored it. Cecil, however, perked up, his fur bristling. I calmed him down and started to fall asleep again when another bang echoed. This time, Cecil leapt off the couch, growling and barking like I'd never seen. My heart raced as I realized the noise was coming from the basement door, a seldom-used, rusty door leading to the alley. Someone was trying to break in. In bad neighborhoods, it's common knowledge. If someone tries a door and gives up, they just want your stuff. But if they persist, they want you. Grabbing a wooden baseball bat from under my bed, I crept to the basement. Cecil bolted past me, barking furiously. Then I heard a man's voice mutter, "Oh," and the banging stopped. I stayed up all night, gripping the bat. When my brother got home the next morning, he inspected the door. With one tug, it fell off its hinges. The intruder had been one shove away from getting in. Cecil My lazy old dog had likely saved my life. Years later, when we had to put him down, I thanked him one last time. I'm convinced I wouldn't be here without him. Finally, one eerie night when I was 13, a thunderstorm raged over our house in Tornado Alley. I always slept downstairs in my dad's room during storms. Around 12:43 a.m., I heard my dad's car pull into the driveway. It had a distinct bass sound, so I knew it was him. I waited for him to come inside, but after a while I checked the window. To my shock, the driveway was empty. I brushed it off, thinking it might have been a passing car. But then, I heard his familiar cough from the garage. My stomach dropped. I hadn't heard the garage door open. Fear gripped me as I realized something was off. Moments later, I heard my dad's voice softly calling my name. Frozen with fear, I stayed put. My dog, however, seemed unfazed. Eventually, I fell asleep. When I woke at 4 a.m., I ran upstairs to find my dad had just arrived. He'd never been home earlier. To this day, I don't know what called my name that night, but it left me deeply unsettled.